Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Hey there, everybody. Frontiers, it's doing gangbusters, man. You've done it. You've knocked it out of the park. It was all you. I knew you could do it.
No. This was absolutely a group effort. But
oh, fine, whatever.
It came together nicely. I'm very happy with things. And more so, I'm happy that everyone else seems to be very happy.
Yes, that is the key. That is the thing I was a little worried about. Was like, oh no, I know how this goes. I've seen this happen so many times. But it seems to have gone very well, and I'm very glad. And it's a very fun game. I'm having a good time with it. So
it's still a very new game. So
yes.
We're going to be dodging spoilers as much as possible.
Yes.
Between my NDAs and other stuff, I can't talk about it too much. So, try to not throw too many Frontiers questions our ways, guys. I don't want you disappointed, but I will answer what I can when I can.
Yeah, and if your questions have spoilers in them, first of all, shame on you. Why are you asking spoiler-filled questions already? Give it a little bit, all right? Just hold on. If you do that, I'll edit your question or not ask it at all, and then you'll be sad, and then you'll be like, why didn't you ask my question? It's like, because it had a Frontier spoiler in it. Come on, guys, don't do this to me. But what you can do to me is ask me your questions that I will then ask to Ian.
Yes, do ask us questions, especially by patronizing us over to patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, or by becoming a YouTube member.
Yes, please patronize us. Please. We probably need it.
Patronize us, question us. It's how we get by.
It's true. All right, we're going to kick things off with a question from The Cartoonist. You're obviously both big Homestar fans, to the point I think you'd both kill Homestar, like literally kill him, like murder him, or you mean like we could voice him? I don't know. But have you guys ever watched the Brothers Chap's other stuff, like Aquabats, Gravity Falls, etc.? And if so, what do you think? Highly recommend 2 More Eggs, by the way.
I did see 2 More Eggs, I think off a recommendation from one of our listeners or patrons, and man, that's like Homestar Runner distilled into even more surrealist nonsense. It was a trip. But haven't seen Aquabats. I only saw the first season of Gravity Falls myself.
I gotta be honest, I didn't even know that they were involved in Gravity Falls and Aquabats and other stuff. I didn't realize that. I knew they were involved with other stuff, but I didn't know that it was those things. So I guess I am out of the loop. Apparently Matt is involved in the Owl House.
Yep.
Like what?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
He's a voice act. He's a voice in it.
Well then.
And it's funny too, because I didn't pick up on it until Aaliyah pointed it out, and then listening, it's like, okay, yeah, I can hear it. I'm just so used to all of his other inflections.
Right. Well then, I guess I got some things to catch up on. Here's a question from Windstar Osprey. Does Mimic's shape-shifting ability grant him secondary powers due to how it affects his biology? For example, can he heal minor injuries when he changes form or age slower due to his morphic structure constantly rejuvenating his cells? That'd be a cool compromise for yours and Sega's ideas for his age. Make him biologically 18, but chronologically in his 30s. Won't happen, but still.
No, because I don't want him to be too overpowered. Now, I say this and, watch Evan or Sega says, no, yeah, he totally does that, in which case, never mind this. But now, if he is injured, I imagine he could shapeshift enough to hide it, but the injury would still be there. It would have to heal naturally. Likewise, I don't see him aging slower. It's just he can hide his age if he wants to. But, I mean, if Zuka-san himself says he's 30, I ain't going to question it.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
When their boss says that's what it is, yeah, that's what it is.
Just like how Mario's like 23 or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Okay, it's not quite the same thing. All right, here we go. Here's one from What If Sonic Met the Joker? That's not a question. That's the person's name. I noticed that there's a position at Sega of America for an associate lore manager on the Sonic series. Is this something you were offered by Sega of America and turned down? Is this a front and just a formality while you get the job for real? Or did you not know about this at all before now?
No, it's not a front. It's a legitimate position, and Katie over with Sega, the social media manager, she actually did a tweet explaining what all that is. I'm not applying for it myself because, number one, I ain't moving out to California. Are you crazy? And number two, I have no managerial experience. I am not the person for that job. I am, however, part of the, what do you want to call it, group, committee that is involved with it. So whoever gets that position, I look forward to working with you.
Here's a question from Wheels282 Hedgehog. You stated previously that you hadn't thought of the chaotics for Sonic Boom outside of a unit, but like the outcome of Vector alone, specifically in Boom, afterwards. Why does this, in your opinion, not work for the Freedom Fighters? I do get that obviously this could become a pitch if I'm not careful, so I hope this isn't asked poorly, but wouldn't it be interesting to use the individual characters separately, build them however they may fit in this new interpretation of continuity recognizably, yet independently from previous media, and maybe use events to give mini callbacks to prior fans while keeping them separate from each other? I absolutely love the Freedom Fighters, Spinball, Sat AM, pre- and post-reboot versions, but I don't personally see it necessary to keep them together if that lessens the odds. Maybe I'm missing the point, or maybe I'm the odd Spinball here, but I am curious if there's a particular reason for your insistence on them as a unit besides just nostalgia.
No, that's a very good point. And if circumstances were different, I think that would definitely be a viable approach. Unfortunately, and maybe I am wrong, but the vibe I've gotten is that they don't have the power individually to make a case for them. That, like, bringing any one character into the mix is kind of a big deal. Like, Tangle and Whisper were concentrated efforts very early on with lots of lead time and construction. Bringing in an additional 5 to 6 characters is a big ask.
Mm-hmm.
And pushing them individually, I feel like would make it even harder to get them through the door, because that's not pitching the idea of, here is this unit that has general fan appeal and would bring a great deal of goodwill. It's, here's these individual characters, some of which aren't necessarily strong enough to stand on their own, that we're going to try to retool to make them stand on their own. So every one of them is a gamble now, and it's not a concentrated nostalgia push. It's a really throw the darts at the board and hope something lands for each individual one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Rotor. Rotor's my boy. Rotor needs more love. Rotor's not getting in the book by himself. I could pitch it the best possible way. Rotor's not going to be able to get in all by himself. The only one who might be able to make that leap would be Sally, and she's had way more backing in various media and territories and whatnot. She's a separate case. She can kind of stand on her own, but the rest of them, as much as we love them, as great as they are in their various incarnations, they don't have the star power to warrant all the work that would go into pitching them individually, which is a bitter pill to swallow. Mm-hmm. I kind of hate saying it out loud like that, but that's the reality of it. And it sucks. It really does. Mm-hmm. But that's where we are right now. So I'm trying to approach this in the way that I think has the best chances of getting them in the door again.
And now we wait for the inevitable point where they cut out the specific part of you saying that Rotor does not have the cachet to get in the series himself, and leave out all the context surrounding it to make you sound like a horrible person. Ha! Want to do that right now? We can do it right now. Ian Flynn hates Rotor? Hashtag motor for Rotor. That's what I say.
And there's a lot of, talk about what I would do, how I'm approaching the pitch and blah, 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 blah. But I'm not alone in this. I am a voice. I am a seat at the table.
Yep.
Trying to get the best possible option here. So as things move forward, the way I'm approaching it may, come under scrutiny and go, no, this isn't the best way to do it. Let's do it this way. In which case, sure, switch gears.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of focus is put on my efforts just because I'm vocal and public about it. But I am not the end or the beginning of this push. I'm just the most public version, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is making me think, and spoiler alert for Sonic Frontiers, skip to the timestamp for the next question if you don't want to hear anything about it. But the characters mentioned, certain characters who are mentioned in Frontiers, has their status as far as being canon to the games changed officially at this point? Or can you even say that?
Izuka-san says he wants to bring the various forms of Sonic media closer together.
Mm-hmm.
And I have made it clear that the comics follow the lead of the games. So as long as there's no contradictions anywhere, we're good.
So when people say that, say, for example, like IDW is canon to the games now, would you argue against that?
I would not argue against it, no.
Alrighty then. Here's a question from Spider Jimmy 23. How did you approach writing Proto Man / Blues? Like, did you want to do more, or was it just kind of like, yeah, I like this character, but I'm writing Mega Man? Because he shows up a very small amount of time, but when he does, it's effing awesome. Yes, Spider Jimmy 23, you are absolutely correct. Proto Man is freaking rad in Ian's run.
Well, I had very fertile ground.
You did, yes.
Like, because Proto Man's just cool as he is. He is the estranged brother. He has the tragic backstory. He has the more engaging motivation.
He has cool shades and funky hair.
That too.
He has a great theme song.
Scarf. Mm-hmm.
And the kick-ass scarf. I mean, come on, yes.
Who are you? I'm you, but cooler.
Pretty much. He's kind of like Zero, you know?
Yeah.
Serves the same purpose.
Zero. But part of what makes him so cool is you don't get overexposed to him.
Yeah.
When you see him, it's an important thing. It's a big deal. So that's kind of what I tried to maintain going into it. Even when we got into his backstory and the narrative got to focus on him more, I wanted to keep him on a short leash, because the more you get into him, the less the mystique sticks, you know?
Yeah.
Eventually the varnish wears off. It's like, oh, hey, it's you again. You're cool, but hi. You know, it's kind of like if we always come back to Dragon Ball Z on the show, but it's kind of like how Piccolo used to be a big deal. It's like, oh no, it's, Piccolo, the only guy who's like just as strong as Goku. He's maybe evil or maybe not. He's intimidating. He's cool. He's different. And then by the end, he's a babysitter. He's kind of like, oh, hey, Piccolo. What's up, Green Man? It's yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to be aware of and try to avoid, which would be particularly tricky once we got to like Mega Man 6, but I still feel like you can, dance around it. So,
well, yeah. When he's the main villain in 5, that's when things get tricky, but you could have worked it out.
5, 6, that whole arc.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to have him have a fairly prominent subplot in 4 as well, but overall, the best way I think to approach Proto Man is less is more.
Yeah. Besides, I don't think Blues would make a great babysitter. No, I agree with the chat on that one. Here's a question from Speedweed. So, given the most recent Q&A as of the 5th of November, you mentioned a wondrously dark scenario for the Metal Virus saga. You know me as the Metroid guy. Therefore, what if Samus arrived during the Metal Virus? Perhaps Sonic didn't make it, and those pockets of desperation you mentioned get real desperate. Maybe we have a Brio-type situation where things have just collapsed the moment she arrived. Either way, how would things play out? And best of all, would she actually be at risk for viral infection given her suit is technically biomechanical in nature? Lord forbid, would we get an SAX type situation with the metal virus? Oh boy. Ooh.
I think initially she'd be immune. I feel like the Chozo tech is advanced enough that it's more mechanical than biomechanical. It's integrated into her system, but it itself is still a suit. Now, I'm not going full on End of Dread here because that really muddies the water. So let's just assume kind of your basic Varia suit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure she would be packing enough firepower that she could neutralize various zombots. And she doesn't know any better. Big metallic, lurching, violent things, they're going to get plasmid. And the sense is going to tick down rather steadily. Now, if she lingers too long, the horror of the metal virus was that it was adaptive. It would mutate eventually and find a way to infect that biomechanical aspect. And then we might have a problem. But if she was just there kind of looking around going, this place sucks, and then leaves, she'd be okay.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing she can run real fast. I will say that. Yeah. Yep.
Of course, why is she even there? Is it because Ridley and the Space Pirates are coming after the Chaos Emeralds? Do we have to deal with Zombot Space Pirates now? Zombot Ridley?
Oh, no. Oh,
that's what this series really needs. Zombie Ridley.
Oh, dear. Oh,
not
dear.
Reanimated Ridley. Not Meta Ridley. Zombie Ridley.
Yes. Oh, man. Oh, see? You can cross over Sonic with anything.
She comes across Sunset City, and one of the skyscrapers just begins to turn, and oops, that's a Zombot Kraid.
Oh, no. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Amazing. Nintendo, hire this man. Here's a question from Scurvy Pirate Hog. Dr. Eggman, Tails, and Dr. Starline. They sure love their technology and inventions, right? So what if the three of them were forced to spend 1 month at Amish camp? No technology for them there.
Tails would be fine. He likes working with his hands. He likes being inventive. Sure, he'll figure things out. It's a little rustic for him, but he enjoys the experience of figuring things out.
You don't need technology to invent things. And also, technology is a relative term.
Sure. Eggman would bristle, but he would focus on optimizing things.
Yes.
Whatever Prower can do, he can make better. He will find a way to raise that barn with 50 RPMs. From what? I don't know, but that you don't want to touch that butter churn without protective gear, man. He's done something to it. Starline is out of his league. He is just he's out. He nopes within the first 24 hours. He can't stand it. What do you mean he can't leave? He has to go out there. Do you know how long he's gone without a macchiato?
Boy. Soft boy Starline. Can't hack it. Can't handle it. What a shame. Here's one from Noni. If Chow are liquid, Coco are solid, and Wisps are plasma, does Sonic run on gas?
Waka waka!
Well, I mean, what do you think the bursts are when you hit the boost button? That's not him breaking the sound barrier.
Kyle, no.
That's the sound barrier breaking out of Sonic.
No!
That's the wind breaking out of Sonic. There we go.
No! Next question.
Here's one from Miles Prower Davis. Big SA2 fan. One odd thing I like are the boss introductions with the spinning camera and typed out names like the Bio Lizard, the prototype of the ultimate life. Just wondering, is there any odd set piece, cutscene, or mechanic that stands out for you guys from the games?
I mean, that's one of the best ones right there.
That's pretty cool, yeah. They kind of brought that back in Frontiers by doing the freeze frame on it. Although that's more like just a modern game thing where I'm getting like Borderlands vibes from that sometimes. Like, boom, here's the enemy. Boom. Yeah. But SA2's is pretty iconic with the typing of the word, typing of the name out and everything. Yeah.
Some of the environmental storytelling in Sonic Heroes is really nifty. Like, I can't remember the name of the stages now, but the Egg Fleet ones. And the first half starts off, bright, sunny skies, and you're going through the fleet. And as you're progressing, you're getting closer to the Manta Ray capital ship.
Right.
And then the second half is that ship that you're going over the surface. And you come up on that tower that's firing the multiple lasers. That was nifty. I liked that a lot. And the implications of Neo Metal in Cryptic Castle / Mystic Mansion. Was that what they're called?
Hang Castle and Mystic
Hang
Mansion.
Castle. There we go. Really like that too.
Yeah. No, that was... Sonic Heroes gets a bad rap, in my opinion. I've been through this. I streamed Sonic Heroes ages ago and talked about it a lot. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things there that I feel like are things that could have been built on. And I'm kind of sad that it gets such a bad rap that it does these days. Trying to think of anything else that kind of sticks with me. I mean, like zone title cards are a staple for most of the games. Like, it's been just kind of the expected thing to have the multi-level text movement and the background movement all coming together and then zooming away and then revealing the level. Yeah, that was always kind of fun. That made it stand out a little bit from other games at the time, even though then every other game kind of stole that for a while. There's a lot of fun little things that I can't really think of right now, but like I'm thinking like the animation for Supersonic when he transforms, like the little levels of detail and polish that they kind of added to actually make things feel a little bit more, believable. Things like that. So I dig it. Here's a question from Pizza Person. The Surge arc has been really good so far, but will we see more of a focus on the larger game cast in the comics in coming years? It feels like lately there is a much higher focus on IDW original characters, while game characters, even some major ones, haven't been very involved.
I guess I can kind of see that, but yeah, we'll be seeing the main cast interacting in fun ways in the near future. Hashtag knowing smile. Hashtag knowing smile.
What does he know?
Oh, he knows so many things.
Does he cook what he's knowing? Our last question before we take a break comes to us from Sam Cybercat. All these power level questions are small potatoes. What we really need to know is who would win in a fight between Big the Cat and the Bumble King mascot. A true clash of the titans.
They wouldn't fight. They would just join forces. The Bumble King would replace Froggy.
All right. Would Froggy... Would Big actually allow that?
Well, he probably just thinks it's another Froggy.
Okay.
Froggy, you got a new hat.
I thought maybe like this one
orange,
here.
It's green, it's small, it's cold-blooded. Who can tell the difference?
Okay, it's fine, I suppose.
Big doesn't have his reading glasses. He can't quite see that close.
They're not going to fight in a fishing war?
No.
Oh, okay.
For one thing, the Bumble King is two-dimensional. He can't hold a fishing rod.
He's only two-dimensional for now. We can change that.
My God. Bumble King in 3D.
Whoa! It's the blue and red 3D, though, so you gotta wear those silly old glasses.
That'll go real good on the green and orange.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Vomit for the eyes.
Yeah, well, maybe the Bumble King will have a rough transition to 3D, Thank you. Thank you, Chap. Thank you for that one, Chap.
You can't spell Bumble King without NGI.
Or KNGI even. Or IG.
So you used to talk about your show. I screwed up the joke.
Oh, no. I mean, it's funnier because, it's my show. Anyway. Speaking of shows, let's take a break from this one. Jeez. And then we'll be back with more BumbleKast.
We've got a sponsored ad from our good friend Daniel H. He says, I'd like you to meet Janie. She's a skilled musician, creator of the funny webcomic Fletcher Apartments, a loving wife, and just a cool cat you'd like to know. She could use some help. Janie's raising funds to help cover her gender-affirming surgery, and she's saving every last cent she can, but between the bills and the rent, it's not enough. Click the GoFundMe link to learn more. And spread the word, if you please. Thank you, and be well. We do have the link in the description below, so please give it a click and help Janie out if you can.
We're back with a question from Many Hats. Hey, sir, Mr. Slippin' Jimmy Flynn. Was that your real name?
I thought the police took care of that one. No one's supposed to know about Slippin' Jimmy.
Oh, no.
I left that life behind. Slippin' Jimmy's dead.
Okay, sure. I believe you. Do you have any advice on how to break into the freelance comic writing industry?
Persistence. Really, it's a bit of a catch-22 because it's really hard to get anywhere in the industry until you've done something, and it's really hard to do anything until you get into the industry.
Yes, and also you did it the way that most people should not do it.
Oh yeah, I did it the wrong way and got real lucky. So
yeah,
my best suggestion is to create on your own as best you can. Even if you're like hand doodling your own terrible comics, just get it out there. Let the work speak for itself. If you can hire someone to draw for you, by all means, put your best foot forward. But if you don't have the funds to do so, line art on lined paper, whatever it takes, get your story out there. I mean, look at One Punch Man. It's a napkin doodle, and now it's a franchise. So just produce your material and put it out there and use that as a proof of concept. It's really hard if you're exclusively a writer because it's so much harder to be easily reviewed and to even get looked at. So if you can partner up with an artist to showcase both your skills, that's a good way to get eyes on you.
Yeah.
And have a good portfolio. Like, you can put stuff online pretty cheap, if not for free, so that if you get the opportunity to speak to an editor somewhere, you have a easy to find link that they can go read and review. Don't wait to send it off. I mean, have a good PDF too to email off if you don't want to host anything online, but have your resources ready to go and just try to keep your ear to the ground. It's see if there's anybody hiring, see if there's any kind of open calls. That happens once in a rare blue moon, but you want to be ready for it if it does. And beyond that, it's networking. Like, maybe the artist you worked with on this side project got picked up for a bigger project and they happen to get the inside track on a writing gig and say, hey, I know you. They should contact you. Networking really is the biggest thing. And I'm really bad at it. So I'm also really lucky.
Yeah, I'm also terrible at it. So I will say, though, head on over to bumbleking.com and check the tabs on the top of the page. You'll find one that says news, info, and FAQs. And then go to the FAQ section. And there's a really nicely written, really lengthy write-up called How to Get Started in Comics, written by Ian. So if you're curious for more, head on over there and check that one out. Here's one from Kuzu5993. You've been working on official Sonic-related content for almost 2 decades, from comics to TV shows, and now finally the games themselves. Do you feel like this is the culmination of your career, or do you still have greater ambitions beyond Sonic?
When I got the gig for Frontiers, that was the culmination. That was the mountain peak. I made it. And then from that lofty vantage point, I saw the next peak that I wanted to strive for. So I'm quite happy with what I've achieved. And if a meteor came down and struck me right now, I could be content. But there are always things to aspire towards. And there's always something more that I want to do. So now that I have achieved this, I am quite happy. I am satisfied that we have done this. Now it's on to the next challenge.
Now it's on to writing a Sonic movie.
I don't know if I can get that far, but then again, I didn't know if I'd ever get to a game, so I don't know.
It's true.
Maybe we should ping Tyson Hess and say, hey, can I like write one line of dialogue just so I can get like a writing credit?
And then they'll cut it out of the final movie anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but then you won't get credited.
I don't know how.
Oh well.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know either. All right, here's a question from Jolene B. As you wrote Dr. Wily, he seemed to have a degree of restraint and maybe even a moral core. Did you have any plans on how to reconcile that with later games, where he's portrayed as willing to burn the world down out of spite? Was the idea that years of defeats by Mega Man would erode what good was in him?
I kind of, sort of. This is going off of old memory. I'd want to go back and do my research again on his escalation in the games. But even by 11, he seems to be mostly just petty. I do think that as we progress up through like 7 and 8, there would be that escalation in impatience and anger that might boil over. But ultimately, I think he's not a complete monster. He's just a very petty, selfish, fragile, egoed guy who has great talent. He is a genius.
Yeah.
But when that isn't recognized to the degree that he needs because he's a whiny baby, he reacts to it poorly. So
yeah,
I think that's the main thing, is that he's not a monster. It's just he's a bad person.
Yes. Not like Eggman. Eggman is a monster.
Eggman is an absolute monster.
Absolutely.
And we love him.
Yes, he does. But even he has a softer side sometimes. But even still, that's sort of something that he uses for bad, for evil. So,
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And this next question, big spoiler warning on Frontiers, specifically about unused content. If you don't want to hear anything about Frontiers, go ahead and just use the timestamp and skip to the next question. This one is from Green Hill Zone 900. Apparently in Frontiers, Sonic had the following line: Amy, I should have made up my mind sooner. Wish we were sharing an umbrella, Amy. But then it turned out there was no caption for it, even though the recording is available. Does this mean that the line went unused? Would have been nice for them to have included that line within the game.
That and a number of other incidental lines seem to have been recorded, and I don't think they've been implemented. Folks have been finding them. I've seen the YouTube videos and whatnot. I don't know how much I can talk about what the intention was for those. Suffice to say, if you can't access them in the game, then they were not implemented for whatever reason. I can speculate, but I don't really know for sure why or why for.
Here's a question from Exadel. Sonic is already crazy fast. Now what would happen if a natural-born speedster like him somehow gained access to the Flash's speed force?
He just teleports.
Yeah, pretty much.
He just instantaneously is where he wants to be, and he's like, you know, this is kind of boring. I'm going to give it... He just drops the speed force and goes back to running because that's more fun.
I was going to say, he'd kind of just like, yeah, this sucks. Typical. Man, no wind when I do it this way. Damien That Hedge has a question. Just finished Frontiers, gonna do my best not to spoil anything. So, Ian, I bet you're happy about some specific name drops during the game and mid-credit scene. How hard did you have to fight Sega to get the green light? Absolutely stunning job on Frontiers.
Thank you very much. Very happy you enjoyed it. I didn't have to fight at all. Zero friction.
Da-da-da.
I feel a little silly because I didn't manage to get the stuff to trigger half the time myself, but I also played through the game really quickly because I wanted to get to all the story content because I wanted to see how it was rendered, okay?
Come on, Ian.
But yeah,
you already knew what was going to happen. Why did you need to read? Why did you need to see the story? You already wrote it. Come on.
It's the same as the comics, man. Yeah, I can write it, but that's just little squiggles on a screen. Who cares?
I guess.
The artwork, the voice acting, the cinematography, that's where the real meat and potatoes is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, there's some good
but
stuff.
Yeah,
in that,
I asked, would it be okay if we did something like this and did that? And they said, yeah. And there you go.
Chaos Sonic 1 has a question. Not sure if this is Lost Hedgehog Tales territory, but what would have been the worst disaster? Moebius version of the Great Harmony prophecy. Would the Anarchy Barrel merge to 7 like in the Great Harmony?
I don't think we had any concrete plans. That would have been so far down the line that we wouldn't have gotten to it for a bit. I mean, it seems like the obvious thread to pull, though. The worst disaster is great. But if we're going like full on antiverse, it would have to be the antithesis. It wouldn't be the unification of chaos. It would be the proliferation of anarchy. So I don't quite know what that would entail. Maybe the Anarchy Barrel shatters into a fine powder and everyone gets infused with horrible radiation sickness. Planet sweeping storm of chaos energy. I don't know. It'd be real bad.
Yeah, probably. Wouldn't go well. Here's a question from Batman69 LOL. What if Tails was inspired by Eggman's superior intellect and decided to follow him and become his loyal lackey instead of Sonic's? Would Eggman on some level genuinely care about Tails, considering he would possibly be the most, if not only, loyal underling that isn't programmed to be he'd ever have? How different would the Starline saga turn out? And most importantly, would his nickname now be Yoke?
I like to think that Tails deep down is still a good person, and that even if he were under the tutelage of Eggman, he would still retain that goodness. So maybe, he's inspired by Eggman's genius and invention skill, but he still kind of questions the whole conquer the world thing, the causing misery of others. Yeah, it's not a guy. He's a egotist and he's a jerk. He's kind of glad he never fell in with that crowd, but I mean, he is kind of protecting everyone else. So maybe Tails is in the background, loosening a bolt here or there. Like, oh no, this cage fell open and all the little animals got out. How sad. Sorry, boss. I'll fix it up better next time. Oh no, you happened to run out of fuel just before you shot the kill beam at Sonic. That's an oversight. I'll flag it for review later and then never review it. Now, he's still all about machines and building and whatnot, but maybe he kind of sabotages things ever so gently to make sure the world doesn't completely burn. As for Eggman, so long as, Tails is being obedient on the surface and does what he's told, he's fine with him. Kid's bright, has a future. He likes using animals to his own ends anyway. He's not going to stuff him in a robot. Saves him a step.
There you go.
But it's not Yoke. With tails like with spinning tails like that, he'd have to be Whisk.
There you go. Nice. Perfect. How would the Starline thing go? Would he just would Starline be like jealous of Tails? And most likely.
Oh, look, a valet. Take my coat.
Yeah, I figured. Kind of figured.
Tails would absolutely sabotage Starline in this scenario.
Oh yeah, I mean,
every opportunity.
Who wouldn't?
Like, every foible, every time he undermines Eggman for the greater good, he frames Starline for it. Every time Starline tries to show him up or expose him for what he's doing, he manages to turn around on him. Very Wily, spy versus spy type of thing.
Yeah. This got one from the a quote from the chat here that says Eggman would have more respect for Tails than he does for Starline. He currently has more respect for Tails than he ever did for Starline. He has more respect for Sonic than he ever did for Starline. Here's a question from Andrew D. I hesitate to ask this because it could be a potential spoiler, but was there an ulterior purpose to the test run arc? It seemed to indicate that it was setting up something, and nothing else ever came from it. I was thinking it would lead into a Sonic Frontiers adaptation of sorts, but it seems like that never happened. Are there plans to follow up on that story, or was it a one-off? If it was a one-off, then is Eggman still pursuing virtual reality?
That was Evan's story, so that's more a question for her, and while there's certainly things that can be followed up on it, I don't want to steal her thunder.
Alrighty. And here's a question from Alpha Mon or Yukon. Just how long can Kit go without being near Surge?
How long does he fall asleep?
I don't know. Is that about it?
She might be able to get like some me time when he's asleep, which is probably why she keeps making him drink cough syrup. But, that might also be for the giggles.
Yeah. Oh, well. And our last question for this episode comes to us courtesy of Dove. I have to ask, we all have guilty pleasures, those comfort foods we know and shouldn't eat but still enjoy, those bad movies we watch over and over, even though they're schlock, unsophisticated things that just make us feel good. So I'm curious again, does Dr. Starline have a secret stash of SpaghettiOs? Perhaps a copy of Masters of the Universe worn out from watching Skeletor's speeches over and over? What does the good doctor partake in when nobody is around that he'd never admit to openly?
Why do you just besmirch the name of the good Chef Boyardee? How do you compact so much flavor and decadence into a can repeatedly without fail? Honestly, this is miraculous.
Truly. It must be Chef Boyardee is some kind of evil genius to have pulled this off.
And now you've got me thinking of Starline mimicking Skeletor playing with little action figures.
Of course he is.
You'll never get all the Chaos Emerald from me, Sonic. Now I have the power.
Oh boy.
There we go. We revived Dr. Starline, but with a skeletal head.
Of course, he's got to have like a hood, a cloak.
Yeah, he flips it back. Do you remember me, Doctor? When you crushed my aspirations?
Damn it.
Buy us another guest spot so I can be Skeletor Starline for an entire half hour. No, please don't. Please do not.
Let's not do this. Nobody.
No,
yes,
no.
Yes, yeah. We're done. Let's get out of here.
But before we go, we have to give a big thank you to all the folks who make the show possible. Big thank you to Daniel H., James K., Jennifer R., John B., Robotnik Home, Sam Cybercat, Samuel P., Torch Brown, Mike B., Dave M., Andrew D., Salute Your Cat, Coupland Crew 128, J. Frost, Duas Dizden, Hero of Light 13, Professor Scruffy Matt, Ryan D., Chris A., Noni, Sony, Triforce Riku, John M., Jib, Don B., Yami M., Fiona M., Lee HK, Lisa M., Invade Turbo Tunis, Ben Wolfsbane, Chevelle, Sonic, Scurvy Pirate Hog, Keeper of Monsters, Axis Tick Tick, Xander Oni the Painter, Arc Fighter, Jonathan D., The Name is X, Solaris Stain, Nemric, Godzilla, Justin S., Quaggle Gaggle, Professor Rye, Alex GS, Ava Arctic, Cameron H., Dove, Dadler the Dalek, Sonic Legacy, Just a Mountain Soul, Penanty Cat, Starlight Sec, Nondol, Red the Supernamic, Twilord, Chad, Les, Jennifer H., Chaos Sonic 1, The Disgayan, Jolene B., Alpha Mono Ryukin, Joshua S., Omega Watt, Dapper Shinks, Preston M., Noah S., Of the Stars, Sonic 84, Kojiro Highwind, Awesome Cakester, Supersonic Fan, Radry, Ink Finks, and Tails, Chase L., Derisival, Callan Q., Red Wolf, Wild 48, Maddie H., KGB, Miles the Prower, Navarre, Exdel, Agent Kaz, In Zephyr, For Sonic Fan, The Marble Gardener, Rhythm Raccoon, Mox, Queen Violet, Chaos Shadow, Miggy Sawdust, Big Dan 20, Ty Cyan, Owen BD, Vlad, Oz Jam, Shimmy M, Puppy the Scholar, Curly Quills, Angela V, Michael P, Smiley 21, The Flower Garden, Sammy S, Delta God 77, Sterling Sonic, Mr. JF, Jube, Conga, Shakira Law, Rocket Man, Windskull, Delante, Supernova, Indabinda, Superior Pizza, Sonic Pedge, Thigolf, Caswell, Mr. Murderbird, The Giant Murdering Bird, Lacey M, Crucified Demon, Loop D Loop, Omega Man 21, Phi, Leaders of the Freedom Fight, Tatsu Knife, Jason G, Ultra Guy, Cody G, Crowbo, Sonic Mania 2099, Hadronis, Nils, Noob 600, Paley, Bug Party, Zay Cartoonist, What If Sonic Met the Joker, Spider Jimmy 23, Speedwee, Pizza Person, Many Hats, Green Hill Zone 900, Damien the Hedge, Ryokushion, Sonic Bot, Peter M, El Technopada, Buttered Noodles, Miles Prower D, Frost the Hobbidon, Danny the Light, Metamode, Wheels 2D2 Hedgehog, and Jamal S.
I feel like What If Sonic Met the Joker is just a roundabout way of trying to stuff another question into the show secretly.
Well, joke's on you. We're done answering questions.
And also, I'm pretty sure we've done that question before.
At this point, I think we've answered every question possible, but we're going to still keep at it.
Yeah, Azuka was asked that question. I mean, come on.
Anyway, that wraps us up for this episode of the BumbleKast. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
And that's it. We're done. Big thank you to nobody. See what you've done. Very suspicious that you can't answer it now.
Let's just say I've had a thumbnail prepared for this episode.
What does he know?
What does he know? What is he cooking?
Does he
what
know
memes can we drive to the ground?
Does he know what he's cooking? Man, we've done the yellow text meme like 3 times now. We did it twice in 1 week. Probably shouldn't do it so hard so often.
All right, BumbleKast for Monday the 14th in 3, 2, 1. No, wait, we should be recording the thank yous first because that's going to tire me out.
Right. We've recorded this show before. We've done this show. We're almost up to 200 episodes of this Q&A. Yeah, sure. We totally...
Okay.
We're totally on top.
You're recording anyway, so
yeah,
do it. Cut out that first half.
Do it. Oh, wait. Anyway, go ahead.
Midnight. Now is not the time to bump the mic stand. For the love of God.
Mump the bike stand.
Mump the bike stand.
You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org. The reactions have been good, and that I'm glad because I was worried as hell for you, honestly. I'm like, oh no, please don't let this game be a Sonic game.
No, it's fun. I know there's a little bit of jank, but show me a 3D Sonic game that hasn't had jank.
I'm really kind of surprised there is as little jank as there is 2 days after launch with no patches. You'd think there'd be a lot more because I'm so used to there just being a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just so used to everything, Ian. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of what happens every time, all the time, constantly repeating over and over about every time a new game comes out, new Sonic game comes out. Here we go. Here's this again. But no, this time they seem to have They seem to have spent the time actually polishing things up and making it good. So I'm having fun with it.
I'm glad.
I have been playing it. It's got its claws sunk in me because I'm about 10.5 hours in now, and I just revealed the whole second island map. So, well, I would say I revealed the whole second island map, and I did all the I S-ranked all the cyberspace stages.
Nice.
So I got that taken care of, and now I'm just working on getting enough things to finish the story out and get all the emeralds, and then yeah, it's an interesting gameplay loop.
Small heads up, because I've seen a few people run into this. When you get to the third island, do all the challenges beforehand before you have to advance the story in certain places, because there's one that will get locked out if you don't do it before you hit a certain point in the story.
Well, you clued me into the fact that revealing or doing all the challenges reveals the entire map And revealing the entire map means you can fast travel everywhere, so.
Yep.
Even if you've never been there. So I did that for the second island, and that was pretty nice.
It just makes hunting things down that much easier.
Yep.
Also, those listening, if you haven't tried this yet, draw an infinity symbol with the psi loop and look at your boost meter.
Yeah. That's very funny. It's very good. I like it.
I like that little Easter egg.
Yep. I do. I'm having fun with it. There's a lot, like initially, there's a lot of different in-game currencies that you kind of have to learn about. But once you figure it out, it's not that bad. At least they're not charging you real money for any of them.
Seriously.
And being able to, and running around the open world, the physics and everything in the open world parts are great. The cyberspace stages feel a little janky, but
yeah,
that's not a big deal.
Which really confuses me because there's some dedicated 2D sections on the islands, but they don't feel the same as cyberspace.
No, the cyberspace things feels all different.
Why, though? You would think it'd be all built off the same engine.
Apparently not.
I don't know.
There are some issues with camera dev, I will say. I hate when it wrestles control away from you. Like when you happen to walk by one of the enemies and launches into the sky and the camera follows it when you're just trying to run right by it. That's really obnoxious. It's like, come on. Don't wrestle camera control away like that. Only do that if I'm actually locked on to the enemy.
Alice, I didn't mess with the controls at all. I just figured I'd see how the default felt, and it felt all right to me, so I just went with it.
Did you go with the high speed or the action-oriented defaults, though, or do you remember?
I think I went with high speed because I think they said, if you're familiar with Sonic games.
Yeah, that's the one I went with.
I was like, familiar with Sonic games, come now.
You've never played a Sonic game in your life. Speedweed, yeah, in the settings, go into the options, man. There's all sorts of freaking options in there.
Yeah, you can change. He doesn't have it yet. You can change your turning speed, your top speed, your acceleration speed, your bounce height, X and Y axis, camera control speed.
Yeah,
you can tweak your experience a lot, and it's not just like a toggle of on, off, up, down. It's like a 0 to 100 scale. Yeah.
I haven't messed around with any of it myself, but the defaults are pretty solid.
I was comfortable with them.
Yeah, the defaults are pretty good. So
also, I went on hard mode because you get a little bit of extra at the end if you play on hard. If you don't want to, you can switch it to hard like at the very last second. But still, I didn't think it was hard at all. And I'm bad at video games. Like, sure, some of the mini bosses kind of kicked my ass, but there are ways to move forward without fighting them.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the final island, I didn't do any of the conventional gameplay. I just went fishing with Big. And got everything I needed to finish the game.
Well, I like to wander around and see what the island's all about and what's all in there. But
yeah. I mean, you still need coins and stuff, but
yeah. Chaos Sonic 1. What will lock you out of the island, or lock you out? It's the final island, right, Ian? Is it a certain challenge? If you don't do it, it will. What does it do? Like, just you can't progress anymore, or what?
No. It's you miss out on. I'm not 100% sure myself because, like I said, I did hard mode. But if you don't, I think you miss out on the true final boss.
Oh, okay.
But I've also heard that if you're fighting the true final boss and you think it's too hard and switch it back to normal or easy during the fight, it just skips it and still gives you the post boss content. So
what? Well, I mean, I guess the game is a little broken still,
Yeah, I prefer to think of it as highly accessible.
Very, very. Well, yeah, I mean, I know there's going to be plenty of jank.
I've decided to invent this underwater city called Rapture.
Oh, no! Wait, no, that's not System Shock. That's the other one.
Wait till Sonic sees the Egg Daddy. Get a load of this.
At least you had him say, "Oh, I hate that hedgehog."
Oh, I had to, man.
And you had Sonic say, "Let's do it to it."
Yeah.
And there were a few other ones too.
I wanted to sneak it in there in a way that felt natural. I didn't want to make it my usual like beat you over the head reference.
Oh, darn. Yeah, I know. I'm waiting for the Crush 40 reference. Where's that at?
No, I actively avoided that.
Oh! Oh, man.
So.
Oh.
Yeah, there's that in there.
That's all I wanted, and you took it away from me. No.
Well, tell you what, if they greenlight DLC and ask me back, maybe I'll sneak in some song with it.